It's been a while since my last vlog, which was back in Provence in the early stages of July this year. And I did say that I was going to go and do the sunflower fields here in the Loire Valley, but it never really happened. There's quite a lot that's been going on the last couple of months, which has kept me from doing that. So I just got to, I've had to print off exactly what it is I need to talk about. There's so much I need to catch up on. So why hasn't there been a vlog? Well, straight after Provence, I was doing the Duxford Flying Legends Air Show in the United Kingdom. I had literally a night here back home before then driving to Calais and getting on a ferry to go over to the United Kingdom, and then had a spare day which I spent in Cambridge, and then did the Flying Legends Air Show on Saturday. I remember the exact date of it, but it's a fantastic place to go to, fantastic event, very well organised, and I'll speak a bit more about that in a minute. Also had tacked on to the end of that family holiday, so that was a couple of weeks into July that took up. So inside of that holiday was also a little bit of work too in London. I can't really show you what I did on that, it was for a client, but certainly been working hard. In August, family visiting, school holidays continuing, so it just takes up so much time that you just never seem to find time to do any vlogging. The only thing that I really did do in August was I was at the Chateau de Chinon, as they were doing an evening whereby they lit up the castle and at night, as they normally do, but they let the public in around 9:30. But for me, I was lucky enough to be let in at 8:30 without any run around at all, apart from some people working in the castle, and was able to photograph the castle at sunset. So I was very happy to get that, very pleased that Chinon would let me do that, so thanks to them. The other thing I was going to do is there's a couple of bits of news things I need to talk about, and also just looking through my vlogs. When people comment, they're asking me lots of questions, which is great because that's what I want. I want people to interact with what it is that I do. And I thought I'd just do a little bit of a kind of a Q&A, as it were, off the back of that. So people do say to me, what stock photography websites are you part of? The main one that I am with is called Getty Images, very famous image bank in the United States. They're based in New York, but in Seattle and all across the world. They have offices. They have sold my work all across the world, which is great. Very famous as well for their editorial work. So when you're reading the newspapers and things, you'll see things like the wars and politics and sports, all those kind of things. That's what Getty cover. I don't do that for Getty, unfortunately. I'm also with people like Robert Harding, who do a fantastic job, as well as some of the microstock websites. And just with microstock, I know people don't like them. For me, they serve a purpose in that I had some very, very old photos taken on a Canon 350D, and when I first tried to put them into Alamy, they weren't accepted for whatever reason. So I tried the microstock websites. They went in there, and they kind of tick over, really. So they're not the best images, but they serve a purpose for some people, I guess. So there you go. People keep asking me about my tilt shift and the use of the tilt shift, saying, can I show people how it works? Yeah, I'll try and do some kind of tutorial vlog based around the tilt shift and what it is that I do with it and how I use it in my everyday life as a working photographer. I get asked a lot of the time about locations. Now, when it comes to the cityscape locations that I do, somebody said to me, where's this rooftop in London? Or where is this, where is that? And a lot of the time I cannot really tell you where those places are because they are private property. I have arranged with the property owners to be where I am, and if necessarily, they've given me security as well to be up there. It's that involved when I go to some of these places. So some of these buildings, they're saying to me they don't really want photographers just going up and down on their roof, which is understandable. but they appear to be fine with me, which is great. Landscape work, a lot of the time I don't mind saying where things are, but some of the times what I'm going to do when I'm talking is I'm going to flick up an image from Provence, which is taken in a lavender field, as you'll see, and there's about 30 or 40 people in this field, this is why I'm now getting a little reluctant in some ways to say where things are, because it's just getting ridiculous. Professional photographers like myself, we are fighting against other people who are just sort of going out with their camera on the odd day or so, just sticking their images in and essentially almost kind of coming up behind us, taking images, and then it ends up in the same image library or a derivative of it. So for example, I could be putting things in Getty and then somebody comes along and puts stuff in iStock, and they might have been stood over my shoulder. Something which I did see in Provence when I was working with David Clapp. There was a photographer. She was stood taking a picture of actually the lavender field with these two trees. Photographer came along. He just sort of looked to the back of the camera at this lady and plonked his tripod in front of her camera. Just completely and utterly rude, and just there's just no words for it. And that's why I'm getting a bit reluctant in some cases to say where things are, because it's just getting just almost not a free-for-all, but just ridiculous. Bad weather. There's one or two people who said to me, why are you just not shooting in bad weather? Well, I look for a particular type of light in my photography. I want things to look really nice. If it's going to be bad weather, then there has to be something really good about the bad weather to attract me to do it in the first place. So for example, when I was in Provence in July, the very first night there was a lightning storm, and I happened to get a bolt of lightning in the middle of a lavender field just by clicking the shutter. I could not believe I got this photo, but I did. Very lucky that I got it. I do have the criticism as well to say, well, why do you not do interiors when it's bad weather? Well, you can have good and bad light in interior photography as well, and I really would prefer, for example, if I go into a church or a cathedral, that you get that sunlight beaming through the windows, and if there happens to be candles lighting up the interior, and you get this kind of ethereal sort of smoke going around the place, then that the candlelight and the smoke coupled with the sunlight gives another dimension again, which if it's just flat light, you're just not going to get. So that's why I'm not just sort of doing snap happy clicking here, there and everywhere, just getting stock photography all over the place. I want specific types of images for the work that I do. I want it to look fantastic, as good as I can get it. So that's why I'm not doing bad weather all of the time. Gear. I know people very often, obviously, like with the tilt shift, they ask me, and they seem to be amazed that I still use a Canon 5D Mark II. The thing is, the camera still works. It produces great images. It's not the best on dynamic range, which is why I have a 6D as well. But what do? You just have to, you work with the gear that you have. Also, as you can see, this is my house. This is where I live. We have a mortgage, and you have to balance things like nice, shiny new equipment with things like bills, which unfortunately don't go away. So it's not the easiest job being a full-time professional photographer. So that's why I'm not necessarily using things like a Canon 5D Mark IV, or there's a new Canon 6D Mark II, things like this. Just other things get in the way. So that's why the gear still works. So there you go. Grads, there is obviously a tutorial amongst my videos on using grads. People have commented quite a lot on that video. It must be my most watched video, which is great. And people say, why do you not blend? How do you do this? How do you do that? I'm hoping in the next couple of months or so to do some more tutorial videos. I'd certainly want to do something around graduated filters and blending. So that's something that's been in my mind for quite a while now. I just need to find the time to do it, because as you know, I am a working photographer plus with a family. So time is not always of the essence, and just these things will always take precedent over work. So that is something that will be coming up. Then processing. Again, people have asked me about my processing in some of the comments in my work, saying they like what I do, that it's quite minimalist. There's a reason for that. I don't want to overdo it, because some of the times when you're putting images into stock libraries, clients want to do that work themselves. And so it's better to make the photos look as good as they can without going over the top. So I am kind of thinking of showing what it is that I do. There's not a lot that I do, but you can see what it is that I do. It does involve both Photoshop and Lightroom, starting in Lightroom, going into Photoshop. I also do time-lapse as well, so I might do something based around that particular workflow as well to show what it is that I do. And then I've also been asked for how is it that I get the permission to photograph in certain places and property model release. The permission and property release will always go hand in hand. So I mean, if somebody's given you permission, more than likely they're going to give you a property release. Same with model release. If somebody gives you the permission to photograph them, normally it's going to go hand in hand. How do I get the permission? You know, as I was saying earlier, I don't really want to say one or two things, because then it doesn't give the game away, but there's things that this is my job, and you wouldn't expect Apple to say to Samsung, we're going to be bringing out the new iPhone X or whatever it's going to be. And by the way, Samsung, this is what we've done. You just wouldn't expect it. It's commercial competition, and I can't say everything that's happening. So, you know, that's, I'm afraid you just have to look and wonder. And then after that, the last thing to talk about is some of the things that are coming up. So they may be filmed, they may not be filmed. There's also a couple of other things as well that's going on. One of the first things to mention is that next May and next July, I am working with David Clapp, alongside David Clapp, to do photography tours in Provence and Tuscany. Tuscany being May 2018. I believe there are 2 places left for that, and I think it goes the same for our Provence tour in July 2018. So check out either my website, julianelliottphotography.com, or David Clapp, davidclapp.co.uk I think it is, or davidclapp.com. So if you check out our websites, you will see what it is that we're up to. We guarantee you to have a fantastic time. We can't obviously guarantee the weather, but we will do our best to make sure that you get the best from those workshops. On Friday this week, I'm headed to the Republic of Ireland with another photographer. I'm going with a guy named David Spate, who lives in the north of the United Kingdom. He does a lot of stuff. He does a lot of workshops around the Yorkshire Dales, the North York Moors, and we are going to be working together and planning out certainly a workshop in the northwest of Ireland. So we're going to go and do our recce. We're going to go and do our recce from Friday to the following Friday. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to get good weather. Being Ireland and being exposed to all the wind and weather coming off the Atlantic Ocean, who knows what we'll get, but we will see what we can do. So we are thinking of doing our workshop in Ireland around September, October next year. We also have a few other ideas in mind that we are working on, brainstorming together and seeing what we can come up with. Possibly northwest of Scotland in December 2018 is something we've sort of spoken about, and we're working on doing. Not the typical places that you might go, being the Isle of Skye, being further north that we're thinking about. Just after the Republic of Ireland, I fly not back to France, but I actually fly to the United Kingdom, where I shall be doing the Duxford Battle of Britain air show for 2 days as an accredited news photographer. So that's on my agenda as well. After that, I've got a couple of days left in the United Kingdom, so I may just see what I can do in London, or maybe some landscapes as well. We will see. After that, at the end of October, I'm headed to the Dolomites. Now, I was supposed to be working around the Dolomites in April with David Clapp, but bad weather really curtailed what we wanted to do there, because that was our initial plan, was to do a workshop up and tour of the Dolomites. So David can't join me in October, but I'm going over to see if I can get the images to help promote a potential workshop in the autumn of 2018 in the Dolomites. So hopefully there'll be some good colour there. There should be. It's known for its colour, so I should be working on that and seeing what I can come back with. Maybe vlogging as well, we will see. Maybe vlogging in Ireland with David Spate as well. And also, just to finish off, I am starting to do my own workshops again. So I've got one advertised at the moment on my website, Julian Elliott photography.com, for Glencoe from the 15th to the 19th of January 2018. And what I've got is I have secured some accommodation, and that is in a hotel, and they will be providing us with breakfast and also dinner. So, and also I'll provide the transportation during the tour. Up around that area, of course, there's Glencoe, Rannoch Moor, Glen Etive, but that's possibly not on the agenda just because of if it gets too icy down there, trying to get in and out of that place. If you've ever been down there, you know how difficult that could be. But there's many other places around the Glencoe area that can be looked at on a workshop and tour. So if you're interested, check out my website. So that's coming up. There's also a few other things I have in mind, but they're just not anything concrete at the moment. Maybe some trips to Paris, maybe elsewhere as well. I don't know yet. Maybe up in Scotland at the end of the year. We shall see. I'd like to get to London at the end of the year as well. I have something in my head that I want to do. But outside of that, that's where I am. Sorry for probably a lot of talk, but there are a few things coming up, so bear with me. There is a lot going on. Might be that some of it's filmed, might be some of it's not filmed, but there is got 4 months left of 2017, so there will certainly be some more to come from me. So until that time comes, I'll see you on the next vlog.